What is going on, everybody? I'm Jeff Lund. This is the Mediocre Alaskan Podcast, coming to you from garage, looking at today's deer. Nice 2x3 with some stellar eye guards. I got with my buddy Dan Peters, who is also here, and my buddy Jesse Knock. We're going to kind of recap the hunting season, the blacktail season in southeast Alaska. Here we are, dudes. Went fast, man.
Thanks for having me.
Went fast.
It's over with.
Doesn't seem like too long ago, Jesse. You and I were up on that mountain and fog, and there was rain, and
pretty much the same weather as right now. Actually,
yeah, it was
colder
awful.
temperature. But
it's
yeah,
a little chillier. I gotta say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been crappy all season.
I would have to say that maybe between then and now, which was the beginning of August, Jesse's probably have the most remarkable season.
I got after it a little bit. I got pretty lucky.
Things heated up for you a little bit there. It wasn't too long after that you got that. Was it 4x4 or 4x5?
The 4x3 I got in August.
Okay.
Big 4x3, and yeah, I got
that thing was huge.
Got pretty lucky on that guy for sure. He was already rubbed his velvet off, and I was pretty stoked to jump that guy. And got him some swamp grass and jumped him out of his bed and gave chase, and ended up pretty fortunate to get a good bullet in him and drop him. So no, the seasons was pretty tough for me. That was a pretty good blessing right there. I needed that. That was not much time, a lot of thought all year.
Yeah.
I have not much time to do anything, so anytime I can get something like that.
Well, that was funny. I remember up on that hunt, trying to get an alpine with the bow. Saw a couple forks and just couldn't make a good move. There's too much brush and stuff. And alpine is kind of like you like the alpine program. Is that your favorite, Dan, too?
Yeah, I'd say it's probably my favorite. The fishing season obviously affects my time in the alpine, but it's a tough go for anybody with a bow. That's for sure. It's tough enough with a gun. Yeah,
I got nothing in alpine this year. Like that's my favorite too. Going up there at camp, and being that I don't work in August. It should be like slam dunk. Like I should be the one, but dude, nothing.
You can't kill him if you can't see him. That's the whole thing with alpine. You got to be able to see him from afar and get the wind right, especially with the bow. Be able to get within bow range of him. And you can't see him. You're pretty much just sitting up there waiting for a weather window that could happen, but more than likely it's probably not. Just like what we saw, we spent 2 days just.
It is Prince of Wales.
Yeah, exactly.
Or Southeast Alaska.
That's the program.
No, we were pretty positive the whole time. It's gonna break. It's gonna give us a good window, and there's gonna be bucks everywhere when it does. Yeah. And it did. It gave us probably an hour to 2 hour window, and we stomped around enough to where I got a good heel blister and didn't really see much of anything. But I mean, that's makes it better for the next time you do see something. So
it goes from you got that enthusiasm to just heartbroken. This sucks. I'm never hunting again. Like we're probably not that far, but man, that was rough. But yeah, things did. And then the last one you were with him, Dan, right? When he called in.
I was along after he made a good shot with the bow, and it was a big buck. He was excited, and he actually got a double. So the guy needed help, and I volunteered, of course, my time to run over there with him.
Okay. I was kind of wondering. I was like, well, how did you get Dan to not take a shot himself? Okay, that makes total sense. That's good.
Well, that's good. I mean, you took a shot today, and I clearly didn't have a rifle in my hand.
That's true. Hey, you know what? But I think the thing that I appreciate Dan is that we've known each other. I've known you since you
all
were
my life,
pretty much all your life. So I appreciate the fact that you respect your elders, and
come on.
yeah, that was good.
You've got a couple years on me, but my sister's the same age as you are. So let's take it back to reality here.
It's true.
We had a good time.
You got that 4-point in when we were out hunting together. So yeah, it's good. No, that was awesome, man. It was fun to go out bombing around today. It's the day after Thanksgiving, today for everyone. That was nice. Going back to that bow hunting, I shot my first buck with a bow this year.
Yes. I remember that distinctly.
Insanity, absolute insanity. Like it was just a spike, and I was wondering. I was so excited about the fact that it might happen that I got close enough to a deer. I didn't actually think about what I would do if I was that close. I could put this sick stock on it, I feel like just all ninja. Like, I didn't think I had that much ninja in me. And then I come up with it, and there it is. And it's looking right at me. Took a picture of it with my cell phone, sent it to a couple people, and then I got, like, text messages back, shoot it. And I was like, I probably should. Like, what am I mean, if I'm going to shoot my first buck with a bow, you shouldn't care. It was a spike, and probably both spikes are 7-8 inches long. It wasn't like a little nubber guy, but
it's an Andy spike though. That's
yeah.
I think I was sending one of the you should shoot it text because
one of those two.
you're gonna regret it if you don't, because many a times I've done that. Oh no, I'm gonna wait, and you'll see something. You'll see something. And
I mean, with this year's in the wolf kill and winter kill from last year, it's been a tough season. And I remember sending him a text like, shoot it, and he goes, I did. And that felt good for me. I was out hunting myself, and I hadn't seen a buck all day. And it's a different season this year, so no, first deer with a bow, horns or not. Nice job.
Yeah, shoot, that was crazy. I've only been hunting since 2013, so like this, everything is new. Like I still got those new experiences, and man, it's crazy. But with the bow is just a whole other level.
And that's the thing with bow hunting is like that you can shoot a spike and you can be as pumped up as your adrenaline is maxed out to where you can't even think straight or breathe correctly, and it's a spike, and I kind of got back in a little bit bow hunting this year after shooting a few animals with a gun, and it's exciting. It's great. I love dropping them in the tracks, or taking a little bit longer shot than I'm used to. But man, even a small buck, when you get within bow range of it, and especially when you get to full draw and you're gonna like shoot at this deer and everything's working out, because usually it doesn't work out. The pieces of the puzzle don't usually seem to fall in place like you need when you're bow hunting, but when they do, it's spike to the biggest black you've ever seen. It's the adrenaline rush is like no other.
Yeah.
It's hard to come down sometimes off of it. It's super addicting.
So,
what did you say?
well, I just got a question for Jesse. Jesse made, I'm not going to lie, he made a lot of guys look a little bit bad this year. He's a first-timer for Prince of Wales, so of course this year is going to be his best hunting year, regardless of the wolf kill or the winter kill, whatever people want to go about. He found a place that had some bucks, and shit, and he had a good buck in there, and he got him. Yeah. And he got a couple chances of some other ones and let him go, and I was kind of proud of him. And well, let's just get to the point here. So
all right, this is a drawn out. We're getting into it here.
Well, yeah, I mean, the guy made good shots. I saw the shots made. I saw what happened, and I saw him bear season be very hesitant, and he could have taken some nice boars, but he didn't because the shot wasn't right. Well, I didn't get that because I'm a go-getter, I'm going to kill it if I want it.
Yeah.
So I made a shot the other day, and I missed a 4x4, and it was a good buck. Had eye guards. It was a good buck. And there was another one with him, and I took that one afterwards. I was upset and making my stew about missing this 4x4. It was an easy shot. It was moving, but it was an easy shot. And I told Jesse about it, and the next day, I'm at the gas station pumping gas, and Jesse rolls up, and he had the same look I had when I missed that 4x4. And he showed up behind me and goes, "What's up?" I said, "Well, I'm pumping gas." And he looked pissed, like he was about to cry almost, like I was. And he told me straight up he had just seen the biggest buck of his life, and he blew the call and called this buck in, and made a good go at it. But obviously big bucks don't get killed every day, and this is bow hunting. And well, what happened? I mean, you called a couple bucks in that day, didn't you?
Yeah. I got back actually to a new spot in the muskeg chain system that I wanted to hunt, and I got the wind good. The wind was actually real consistent all day, so I set up, got the wind right, and I always set up kind of towards some dense timber with the open muskeg behind me. It's just kind of something I've always done. I haven't really seen a lot come through the open muskeg, but I have been taught a lesson on that more than enough now to where I will set so you can see behind you in the muskeg a little bit. So I set up, wind was right. I start blowing the call about 5 minutes into the call. I don't know if I heard something or whatever. I just got up, kind of looked behind me, and saw a nice little forking horn standing probably about 100 yards on his tippy toes trying to figure out where the call was coming from. So he was coming in. You could totally tell his neck was swollen. He was rutted. He was bug-eyed. He was wanting to come into the call. So I crouched down a little bit and kind of directed the sound of my call back in the timber where I initially was calling at, and pulled the buck in a little bit closer, and he ended up, I think, I was playing cat and mouse with him around some bushes, trying to get him to, trying to range him, get a good correct range so I could get a good shot on him, and I think I stopped him at 46 yards one time facing me, and I shot right underneath his chest, just barely missed him, and he was so red eyed he didn't really know what happened. So he starts circling down even further down to me, and he gets probably in the 30-yard range or so, 35 yards, and I was ranging him, kind of playing cat and mouse again through the little bushes, and I finally get a good range on him. He was 36 yards, and I decided that I was going to take the shot. It was a good quarter-way shot, so I grunted. I was trying to figure out how I could stop him with no deer call in my mouth, so I grunted, I stopped him. Right before I shot him, he kind of looked back to my left a little bit and kind of, it was enough to notice something was different. He was looking, but I was so intense on trying to get an arrow in his chest that I was focusing on my pin. And when you're shooting your 30 and 40-yard pins, the 35-yard is in between, and you actually have no pin for that. So you're trying to bracket your shot. You're trying to put nothing on the chest of it in between. And when I shot, it was a little bit lower than what I wanted, but it was still a good chest shot. Good sound. It blew right through him. Everything that I saw made me believe it was a great shot. I was stoked on it, actually. Deer goes running off in the trees, and before he gets to the trees, he's just barely walking, and he's really hurting. And I'm like thinking, man, I'm gonna watch this buck drop like right here, you know. And I'm pumped up. I'm like, you know, stoked as can be. Well, I kind of calmed down for about 30 seconds, and then I realized in my head that, like, man, that buck looked at something behind you all of a sudden, you know. And I just like happened to turn around to my left, and when I looked to my left, there's a big doe standing there.
No, this
it's
is
like story of my life.
Open muskeg.
Yeah,
You,
yes,
right?
open muskeg with a little bit of fringe of timber coming out into a point in a peninsula into it, and that doe came out to the point right there, and she's facing me, and man, I looked right behind her, and I swear, I mean, it is the biggest blacktail that I've laid eyes on, and
That hurts.
yeah, when I saw his rack, his main frame, it just. I knew what it was, but my brain didn't register fast enough to realize what it was. I was thinking, man, like, something don't look right about that. And when I realized it was a big, mature 4-point blacktail, I started getting the shakes and started, you know, doing some stupid stuff. So I never do. I never look at antlers. Once I know it's something that I want to shoot, I always look at the chest and the legs so I don't get worked up. Well, I made a mistake and looked through my binoculars at it, and
That'll get you
and those
9 times
vortex
out of 10.
razors are about as clear as they can get. So you're
Counting
on it,
points.
and I looked at that deer's rack and realized what it was, and realized that I was almost within bow range already of it. I went stupid. My eyes went cross-eyed, and I blew the call as they were standing looking at me, thinking that they were going to come in closer, and that doe did not like anything about it, and she turned to leave, and when she turned broadside, that buck behind her didn't realize that anything was going on. He was so rutted out. So when she turned sideways to leave, he came in behind her to try to get, I guess, an opportunity to breed her or to sniff her or something. But he came in behind her all intensely and turned broadside, and I got a good range on him right in his chest, and it was 64 yards. And man, I dialed my sight right into 64 yards, and man, I felt great. Man, I drew back and had all the time in the world to shoot. And that's what's frustrating. But anyway, I shoot and I miss him right underneath him. And I had all the time in the world. They didn't know anything was going on, and I messed it up. And I shot underneath him, all worked up. came up to where my arrow was at. They kind of took off, and then I ended up chasing them.
Yeah, so
like
the
I had
miss
a gun.
wasn't even the worst part.
No.
Because now you got to watch it.
Yeah, and it's a big
gun.
muskeg where I'm hunting them, and they ran through the dead center of the muskeg, and I got to watch them for probably 300 yards. I was creeping on them behind them like I was going to gun hunt them. I don't know what I was thinking in my head, that they were going to stop and just get dumb for a second, but I followed them as long as I could until they took off into a patch of timber that I knew, is a pretty big, dark, dense patch of timber that's pretty thick. There was no trailing them in there once they went. So after that, I decided to obviously go after the first buck I shot, and I just went to the blood trail and found good blood right off the bat and started walking to the trees, and he starts going to a creek bottom, and I was laughing to myself thinking that it's kind of jinxed myself, but I was thinking Stevie Wonder could follow this blood trail because it was like it was everywhere, and I was laughing to myself, and thinking this is great, this is awesome, I'm gonna get him here pretty soon, and it just
ended at a creek, didn't it?
Yeah, ended up into nothing. The last blood I got was one drop on one leaf after pumping out, where I could see it like literally on his heartbeat pumping out, and then I come down to one drop on one leaf underneath a log jam to where that buck had literally crawled underneath some stuff and kind of got away, and in my head I didn't really know what to take from that, because on one hand I do like when they're trying to hide from you, because that means more than likely they're mortally hit, they're trying to find somewhere to lay up, but on the other hand I'm thinking, man, this buck's, he's thinking, he's trying to get away, like where I grew up archery elk hunting bulls, like when you shoot a bull elk, he'll run. When you get a good shot on him, he'll go through anything he can to get away from you, and that includes trees and anything. He's not picking trails, he's just we call it the death run, and they'll run as much as they can, and they just fall through whatever, and like when you see an animal, like when that bear experience, like when they're thinking and they're going over this log and underneath this log and over that, down this trail and back, it kind of gets you worried, because you're like, man, this animal's trying to lose me. He's thinking that, like, obviously he's getting tracked, and so I ended up having to leave and go home that night.
Got dark on you?
Yeah, it got dark, and just had to go home and think about it, and I was like, man, what, I knew it was a good shot. I felt really good about the shot. So I waited till the next day at daylight, and I go right back into the spot. And first thing, I get up into there in the muskeg, and I hear birds. And I told my girlfriend the night before, I said, the birds are already on him. I already know, because they're bad back there. They're on it. You will find your animal before, they'll find it before you do. So
after years of fine print contracts and getting ripped off by big wireless providers, if we've learned anything, it's that there's always a catch. So when I first heard that Mint Mobile offers premium wireless starting at just $15 a month, I thought, what's the catch? But after talking to them and using their service, it all made sense. There isn't one. Mint Mobile's secret sauce is that they're the first company to sell wireless service online only. They cut out the cost of retail stores and pass those sweet savings directly to you. For anyone who hates their phone bill, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. I was hesitant about having to get a new phone and a new phone number, but with Mint, you can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone and your same phone number along with all of your existing contacts. Mint Mobile gives you the best rate whether you're buying for one or for a family, and at Mint, families start at 2 lines. All plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and to get the plans shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/waypoint. That is mintmobile.com/waypoint. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/waypoint.
I heard the birds on it, and I knew immediately what it was, so I kind of worked my way down into where I shot the deer. Still wanted to be patient, worked my way down the blood trail, cross the creek to where I hear the birds going. So then I go to a muskeg that actually had been in the night before, and I didn't go to the other side of it. I kind of didn't think the deer made it that far because I couldn't find a blood trail going into that muskeg. So I just started doing circles in the brush, thinking obviously he'd crawled into some hole and died. Well, what he did was go through the creek, through another piece of brush into the end of a muskeg, and this muskeg's probably 60, 70 yards long, maybe even more. And I come walking up, and I see ravens and eagles hanging in the trees low, and I knew right then that they found my
You're
buck.
close.
So yep, exactly.
Yeah.
So then I started going really slow, thinking, where's it at? And I come around the corner, and there's a caped out deer. I mean, it's literally
And
caped.
you aren't joking there. You sent me that video when you came up on it, and I was impressed. It looked like somebody had literally skinned this deer and
Yeah.
buckled him up right at the ankles.
That's
and
exactly.
take
And I didn't
him
know
what
what
he
to
needed,
think of it. I was thinking, man, this is obviously animals that did this, but at the same time, I mean, there wasn't a piece of bone other than the lower forearm of the deer, the shank, that was connected to the hide. The rest of everything on the deer was completely gone except for the skull. They had ate the neck all the way up to the skull, and they've actually ate, like Daniel asked me if they ate the brains, and they did. Yeah. And in my head, it's naive thinking, this is a bear must have grabbed it, because I put a camera on a deer I killed earlier this year, and the first thing they found it was a black bear. And I'm thinking, it's probably a bear. So I'm sitting there looking at it, and I'm filming it, actually kind of just talking, just thinking, man, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen, and blah, blah, and talking to the film, and I get like 2 minutes into it, and I set the deer down, and I turn my camera off, and I turn around and set it on my backpack, and I hear something first, and I look up into the muskeg above me, and there was 3 wolves coming down, and they run right down to me, and they had no clue I was there until about the time I saw them. And 2 of them go left to right, straight immediately in the back, and they take off. And then the one in front just kind of side skirted around this bush right in front of me. I mean, I'm talking like 10 feet in front of me, and it just didn't know what I was. So it was kind of looking at the trees.
Like growling or any sort of like...
No,
just
didn't
like
do
checking
any
it out,
sound at
just
all.
like,
It was just
chilling?
eyeballing me, trying to get a look at me through the
Curious.
bushes, and just curious. Yeah. It was just curious. And I had my bow right there, I had an arrow knocked, and I drew on it, and I mean, I'm like... I'm wiggling, shaking, trying to get an arrow through that bush, and it's just a thick enough bush, and there's so much between it that my arrow wasn't going to make it to that bush, but there was an opening a little bit further from the direction the wolf was going, and I was thinking, man, this wolf is going to walk right into this opening. I'm going to shoot this thing from like 10 feet away, and it goes straight behind me. It goes straight off the other way, opposite way that I thought,
almost as if they hear you.
Yes, exactly, and that's exactly what I thought. Was like, man, that wolf didn't know what I was. Like, they didn't know anything happened. The wind was perfect. I checked the wind right after. I mean, everything was good. And what they did was just they split up. I split the pack up. 3 or so of them went to my right, and then a couple went to my left, and the right pack started howling immediately. I got some film of it. I'm going back and forth, howling back and forth to them. And it just totally sounds like I pissed him off. It was just a big wolf barking and just like a pissed off howl, like he was just bummed that I kicked him off that carcass, and the 2 packs started going back and forth to each other, and I tried to make a stalk on the right ones. I started working my way through the muskeg, and they must have winded me because the howls were getting further away every time I'd get up to another muskeg, and it was pretty crazy. It was pretty intense there for a little bit. It was, but I didn't get a scrap of meat off that deer. It was probably less than, I don't know, 10 to 12 hours from the shot to when I found it, and they ate every bit of everything. There wasn't enough for a mink or marten to gnaw on it. It was just straight skin, and it honestly, just like Daniel said, it looked like somebody had caped it.
The cool thing about that, I know, heard the story a little bit here and there, but now it's nice to hear the whole thing, and I know for a fact, when you told me, you called me, you told me you tagged the buck. Obviously, you shot the buck, you knew it was dead, so you tagged the buck. And you didn't end up with anything from it,
Mm-hmm.
They chewed on everything. They took everything from you. There wasn't even meat on the bones, and you still tagged it, which is, in my mind, pretty cool. And respectful to the animals.
That was my 4th tag, too.
You see it this is one of the hugest things. Well, we're going to get into wolves, obviously, later on tonight.
Oh, you bet your ass, buddy.
But like you see on the hunting shows, like it happens all the time. Shot just before dusk or right at dusk, and so we shot it. We're going to find it tomorrow. Oh, and there it is, and everything's fine. But up here, it's different. Like it's wild here. It is wild here, and that's the... it sounds awful. It sounds bad. It sounds cruel. If anybody who's listening right now is like anti-hunting or anti-whatever, is gonna be like, well, why did you like? You should be able to. It's not like that, you know. It's not a trophy hunt type situation where you're going back to the lodge like, hey, this is meat that I want for my family, and of course I want it because I want to eat it. This is what's replacing what I'm buying at the grocery store.
Which is too expensive here for
Which
us.
too expensive.
For most people,
the trend now down south is grass fed organic. Like what gets more grass fed and organic?
The black-tailed deer.
There's even these columns that are going like, hey, you know what? It's better for the environment. You know, if you eat less meat because the meat and the methane and the whatever and the well, we're not talking about methane here. We're not talking about or whatever stuff down there in those massive beef pits. We're talking about animals that are here, and we're gonna have to ship them up here. Like I will do it myself. Like it's that natural. Like we used to have to do this a couple of generations ago. This was the thing. You had to be able to do this, and this is a consequence. And it sucks. It's totally a thing. But it's awful. But you did the right thing. Obviously, you tagged the buck, but you just don't see that. And then people down south that watch the hunting shows, it's like, oh, we got it the next day, no big deal. Yeah. But no. Up here,
something else gets it before you do, within 12 hours of the kill.
Yeah, because it's natural.
I knew when I could not find a good solid blood trail before dark that in my heart I knew that I would come back the next day and there'd be at least ravens or eagles on it to where the hindquarters would be gone off of it or something. Because it was a good cool night. It was freezing every night. It was good to where I thought if nothing found it, I'd have some good solid meat the next day. But to come find just a skin and have even like the spine completely picked free white.
Yeah, the distance away from the skin.
Yeah, and it was just like, it's just eye-opening how, and I ended up putting a game camera on that kill, jumping the wolves off of it and thinking, well, I get some video of some wolves, and I get my stealth game camera out and I put it on the tree, set it up for video mode, and I think a day later, I get this giant black bear on there.
Yeah,
this thing is big. Yeah, and I baited some bears, and I've seen some bears up close, and this thing is like on another level of big bears, and I got a bunch of footage of him. I got a handful of really good clips of him right in front of the camera, and that thing is like...
We're going to go back to deer in a second, but like... I don't, as a novice, I've shot exactly one bear. It was a nice bear. It was just short of 20-inch skull, which is that's a nice bear.
Yeah,
for Prince of Wales, it's pretty good, but
that's a good bear
from here.
That's
now some people go in length. So what was the length on that? The overall height of the bear.
It was just shy of 7 feet.
Wow.
So it was a nice spring bear, but not like gargantuan. I still have a difficult time judging bears. Mm-hmm. It's like, how do you judge those bears? Like, how are you like, because they say like, the ears, but like, dude, well, the ears look kind of smallish, but like, what are some things that you guys know a lot more than me?
It's ground judging when it comes down to it. It's like everything, I lived in Sitka for a little while there, and brown bears are a completely different animal, and I couldn't judge them worth a dang, They were different. People said, "Look at the ankles." I'm going, "Wow, what do you mean? You're looking for cankles?"
You're looking at a brown bear.
Looking at a brown bear that I'm kind of scared of.
Oh yeah.
To tell you the truth,
it's looking right at me. Hey, what size are your ankles?
How big are you?
Yeah.
So for me, that was a little different. They all look big. They got a big hump, big head. Well, when you're with black bears, it's definitely difficult this time of year. I'm going to tell you that right now. However, seeing the video you posted of you standing next to the camera and seeing how tall that bear was, he was above your hips, which puts that bear at a very good size.
Yeah.
Along with the 400 pounds he was carrying behind him.
And
he was so fat.
The length of that thing,
unbelievable.
the length of the skull. Like I said, I got a couple other video clips of him coming towards the camera, and he's rubbed too. He's got a rub between his eyes, which is crazy. It's almost December.
Which is one thing you look for.
And yes, and he's got a
rub.
big square. There's a couple different things I look for in a bear that I want to shoot, and one of them is a big space between their eyes, a big flat dish forehead, and that's one thing I look at. It kind of goes from the bridge of their nose up to their head, and it's just one big flat long dish, and obviously a big blocky muzzle. You want a big square, big flat square muzzle. You want it to come down to a big point. You can when I first started kind of looking at them, you would think it's a big blocky muzzle, but the face kind of dies off short. But when you get one of those long, like me and Daniel baited a bear this spring, that was a big giant on the bait, and the muzzle on that thing was so long. You're talking to get a 21-inch skull bear, which is like, that's what I want to shoot. I'm always going for the all-time Boone and Crockett. Like, I've shot enough bears to where I want a 20-inch skull minimum or bigger, and what I want to look for is a skull that's at least like 12 to 13 inches long. And you're talking, you have a big muzzle section on it, and you need a big long mouth on it, and that's where you get that length on it. You're always going to get the 8 inches width. The bears here have really big melon heads on them, and they always have that 7 to 9-inch width of a skull from the widest point, but the length is what varies. That's where you're going to get your scores, that 13-inch length on the muzzle right there. And 2 bears, the one Daniel put me on this spring was another giant, same thing, big, long, giant bear. And this one, I've seen enough now to where when I see a bear, when it's a no-brainer like that, when it like excites me that big, and like you said, when people, even when I posted it on social media, people were kind of, they're second guessing. It looks big and it's a big fat bear, but you can't see a size reference or anything. So I put a second video on there of me standing, a day before that bear was there. Like Daniel said, that bear is well above my waist, and I'm pushing 200 pounds in the winter. I mean, I usually say,
he definitely made you look small.
He's made me look tiny, and that's what, and
I think he's got 200 pounds from his lungs
man. And it's just, when we pulled that chip on the game camera, I was, I was just like, man, this is a huge bear, and I'm looking at it on my phone and kind of looking, thinking, this is a great bear, but I didn't realize how good he was until I got home and got it on my computer. Hadn't really looked at him and looked at his body language, looked at the way he carries himself, obviously looked at the length of his head.
He's got a broad shoulder.
Big broad chest, shoulders on him, long. He's just a really big bear. So
I've seen a lot of bears.
That's a dandy for sure.
I definitely, when you posted the first video, obviously I hadn't seen it. You sent it to me before you posted it there, and I first glance I was like, dang, that's a toad, that's a big bear, and I texted you right back, but I didn't take into account the size of the trees that were around it, and you see a big fat belly dragon bear this time of year, November 24th. They eat fish all fall, so they're going to be fat, they're going to be huge, easy.
And stinky.
Easy.
I cannot believe, I can't even imagine how bad the thing stunk.
Oh, man. Well, shit all over his ass.
You can see it on there, I know. That's
so
what
bad. It was just
But it definitely, that second video, what I was getting at was, I doubted the size of this bear. I knew he's big, and I saw your post, and I went, what? Biggest bear you seen? Well, after you posted that video, you standing there where he went up to, and I could clearly see he came up above what you'd call love handles on a person. Yeah, it's a big bear, and he was almost twice that wide if I looked at it right.
Yeah,
it was a big bear.
That's all of a 400-pound bear for sure. And obviously in the springtime.
And the ears were small. That's another thing I noticed. He had a fat head.
Yeah, good genetics. Good spot where I'm at. Yeah. There's good genetics bears there to where I love to. I told myself after last year shooting a fall bear and getting an infection in my hand from skinning it. And I mean, it was the nastiest thing ever. I mean, I literally found this thing because of the smell. I found my arrow bloody, thinking, it's a great pass through the night before, thinking, lost light, tracking him. I don't track bears at nighttime. That's one thing I don't do. I'll wait till the next morning.
Really, why not?
Gee, tell me about it.
You
okay, buddy?
And for the most part, if it's somewhere other than the unthinned out hole, like tunneled out timber, I'll go after them, but when they go in there, timber. It gets pretty, it can get hairy even with a good shot in there. So we found the arrow next morning, looked at it, thought, it's covered in good blood, dark red blood, and I could just smell something immediately. And I looked at the guy Casey that was with me, and I thought, man, I wonder if that's the bear, because it stunk like no other. And sure enough, I had a lighter, and I lit the lighter, and I just checked the wind, what direction the wind was going, and I literally just went up towards upwind of where I was smelling it, and we come walking up on that bear from like 40 yards away in the thickest little reprod section ever. I mean, he crawled into this hole in the timber and died in this like little hollow in there, you know, and that thing was stiff, and we couldn't get it rolled over, and we couldn't get it to where you could take a picture, and we ended up having to like two guys try to drag this thing over to a log to lay him up on it, and it stunk so bad the entire time that I literally have camo this day that I don't even wear anymore because I carried the hideout
Sounds
with
about
it.
like my backpack.
Yeah, and it stunk so bad. The grease off the bear was so bad that I can't wear it to this day. It reeks like bear. It's just yeah.
So Dan, deer story. You gave lob Jesse up kind of a sad sort of a deer story. What's your worst deer story?
I missed that 4-pointer. That's why I brought that up before I told him.
Were you hoping that Jesse would talk about it and I wouldn't ask you then about it? Or
No, come on now. That's why I brought it up first. I said I missed a nice 4x4. Now, to tell you how big he was definitely a 4x4, and I could see that clearly at 100 yards, and I'm a little blind these days.
Yeah. Well, the one you shot, that I shot today, you said was a 4x4.
4x2, and it turned out to be a 3x2 with Iger.
Which was so like I'm
looking
at it right now.
4.2.
Well, 250 yards.
We're looking at it right now. Like I would have
thought for sure it was a 4-point.
I don't know if it was the tine on the other side, but either way, we weren't looking for a 4-point. We're looking for a buck.
Does not matter. Yeah, like I'm absolutely. I love this deer that I'm looking at right now. It's totally fine with me. But yeah, talk about that one you missed.
Well, about 2 weeks ago, I told myself I was going to quit hunting. You know, I was going to quit hunting for this 2017 year because I am focused on wolf trapping due to the decline and the complete decimation of our deer population.
We'll get there.
In most areas. Well, I'm digging wolf traps into a logging road that's water barred. Well, I'm blowing the call, I'm digging traps. Time goes by, I get a couple traps on the road, and I'm moving down the road, and I happen to look up, and well, my truck was parked in front of me as I was going. It wasn't too far away, and I went down to the truck, and when I looked up, right in front of my truck, about 100 yards, there was horns, or antlers, as some people call them. Anyhow, I couldn't see anything but 2 deer. I didn't even look at the first one. I just figured buck and a doe since it's rut, and I saw nothing but antlers. So I grabbed my gun out of the truck when I get to it. Obviously, he sees me cruising down the road trying to get past the water bar to get to the truck, and turns to go, so I get on him and overestimated how far he was. Just kind of got too excited. When he turned sideways, I saw it was a really nice 4x4, and I already saw the eye guards when he was staring at me. So I got on him, and he took a hop, and he took another hop, and he was about to go, and I got on him, and I figured, well, I better lead him, so I hit him. And I pulled the trigger too far in front of him, and he stopped and turned, looked at me when the bullet passed him, and that was the last I saw of that buck. So I kicked gravel and started working my way.
Gosh dang it.
Back
darn
towards,
it.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot worse words said.
Darn it anyhow.
And darn it, dog lips.
Dog lips, yes.
Cheese and crackers.
Yes. Cheese and crackers.
So I knew I'd messed up. Even though I wasn't deer hunting, I was on a different focus. I wasn't prepared when I should have been prepared. And I missed a buck that is a buck of most lifetimes. So I'm kicking dirt and put my gun away. Saying some things I shouldn't say, and I turn around and look, and shoot, that deer that was standing in front of him is still standing there. And I figured it was a doe, but this thing had a big neck, so I looked back at it, and shoot, it was a respectable, mature Sitka blacktail. So I quickly grabbed a gun and did what I had to do to collect meat for the freezer, and I was definitely happy going home with a buck. However, there was something in the back of my mind saying, "Dang, dude."
Yeah.
when are you going to see something like that again? Especially with the decline here. But yeah, that's my story this year.
Yeah.
And I'm sticking to it.
Sticking to it.
It's been a tough one.
I had a great season.
Well, gee, that's nice.
I shot one with my bow,
That's good.
which was awesome.
That is awesome.
I was looking at a buck that I was like, yeah, should I shoot it? No. And I decided not to shoot it. And I walked back to the road. Nah, I better shoot it. I went back to it and shot it. A little fork. So like, we're talking about fork, talking spike. And then I was... I hunted 31 days between August and September and the beginning of November. So I'm like, every weekend I'm going out, like making this happen. And finally I finally see a buck, and I was taking a dump.
Oh, nice. That's nice.
Yeah,
You had to be camping.
I've always wanted to.
I camped.
I mean, a hunter doesn't dump in the woods. if
No,
you
like
have to dump in the woods.
I was with my buddy Zach and woke up in the morning and we're camping. There's a little bit of snow, and a truck tried to come at the same like logging road spur that we were up. We're like, nope, we're here, dog. And so they went back some other way and going up the trail or going up the road, and it's a weird thing, man. You want to be there when it's shooting light, but if between getting where you are to where you want to be, if you see something, it's like a weird thing. Like, well, do you start walking at shooting light, or do you like want to get to where you want to be at shooting light? So like when we were on our way to be where we wanted to be at shooting light, saw a buck, and then saw another buck, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And my buddy Zach didn't bring bullets, so he had nothing. And so we've seen 3 bucks, and like no shots. And I'm like, oh dude, dang it, we missed our chance. And so we went like to a spot that I'd scouted kind of the time before, and it was the lazy hunters hunt this area, and so you get back in to where they're not going to hunt. So it takes some time. You're bushwhacking a little bit, but you get back there, and so it's you're in their area. It's the place that they're pushed to, and so we were down there by this little creek and hung out for probably about a half hour, just like hanging out. It wasn't gonna happen. All hope was lost. Go around this tree, go to take a dump, and I see it. And I pull up my pants, grab my rifle, and go up there, and it happens. I think I mentioned it in a previous podcast, but end up shooting it. Just an awesome 3x3, like a cool. It's not like the perfect sort of symmetrical. We got
kind of a gnarly buck.
Dandy buck.
Yeah, it wasn't like 2 in front and 1 in back, just perfect standard. It was, on one side it was 2 in back, 1 in front. On the other side it was 1 in back, 2 in front. Just different. It was just a cool looking thing, man. It was just a great year.
Yeah.
But I have had poor years. The one that I think about the most, it was Alpine, and I didn't, oh gosh, this is, I can still see it. We're up on this top ridge, up in the mountains, get out of the tent, it's like, this is perfect time, and walking down the ridge, and we're thinking like, that back part of the ridge is going to be where it's going to happen. Let's get over there, and then let's glass. And so I'm with Don Bussey, good dude. He's
awesome, man.
Legend,
yeah. He's up there just as much for me, or probably even more so, for me than him. And we're 30, 40 seconds out of camp. We come out of this buck brush, and we're going down the ridge, and this just thing pops up and just starts running. And it looks like a mule deer. Like, in my memory, I'm just seeing these massive tines, and I'm just like, oh, what? And so I kind of kneel to get a good shot because it's running, because I'm not a running, shooting antelope type hunter. And I don't even have anything in the chamber. And so like, oh, and then so I put one in the chamber, and then it like drops off this little thing, and it's just bounding away, like perfectly just straight away from us. And no shot. I like speaking in fragments, and then it like at about 350 yards away, it just comes up to this little spot and stands, and it's huge. It's just huge, and I range it 350. And I'm like, Don, I can't take a shot, and so he takes a shot, he misses, thing runs off, and like, oh man.
Last you saw him.
That's the song, yeah. Like
Yep.
we did
Etched
not
in
get
your
it forever, and that's like you talk about how prepared should you be. So you're out there, you're walking around. So like, do you walk around with one in the chamber at a time? No, you can't because it's dangerous. Mm-hmm. It's dangerous to like walk around with one in the chamber ready to go because if you get bumped from safe to fire, even if you have a 3-point safe. Yeah, I was totally. It was more like the mental ready. I wasn't mentally ready. Like, hey, I'm out of the tent.
You were thinking Far Ridge. That's where they're gonna be.
Yeah, and that's where I was. I still see that.
It's a tough one.
Yeah,
But that type of stuff leaves a fire burning to every time that you want to go up there. You think about all year.
Yeah.
Those memories are just so etched in that makes you go back.
Yeah.
Because there's an easier way to get deer. You can, if you're legitimately trying to go fill the freezer, there's a lot easier ways than go hike 3 hours one direction. You got to really want it. It's a separate type of person that really wants those type of bucks.
My first ever buck was crazy. It was stupid. Same guy, Don Bussey, and his daughter Tanya. I was just kind of along for the hunt. Had a tag, but Tanya shoots a nice fork right in the throat. It's like staring right at us. And Dawn's like, wait till it turns, because she's probably 18 at the time, 19 at the time.
And a gal.
And I can't wait all day, and so she shoots it and just drops it. I'm like, whoa, ooh. Like, oh man, I'd never shot a buck at this point. I'm like, wow.
That was pretty cool.
All right. So we see some bucks up in the upper ridge, and after we're done boning that one out, and get up to the top there, and we get to a spot, and we look over, and there's 3, 4 points. There's 9 bucks, and I'm just overwhelmed. Like, I've never hunted before, really, and here I am. I've never shot a buck, and there's a ton of bucks. Tanya shoots another one, so she has a fork that we've already boned out, and shoots this 4-point, like just drops it dead, and I get the gun. I'm just like, there's just so many horns. There's horns everywhere. Like, what do you do, right? And so I picked one out. I shot, and Dawn said, "You hit one. Why'd you go for the fork?" And I was like, "Dawn, I don't know. There's too many horns. I just like the first deer that I saw, I went for, and it had hopped like up and over the ridge." And so like Tanya and I run up to the top of the ridge, and we're both kind of in shape, but those are tough ridges.
Yeah.
Those last 75 yards, you're on 75-yard dash, but you're going at a pretty steep incline. You get to the top and see it, and like I'd shot it just above like the joint. I'm like, oh my gosh! So it's on 3 legs. I feel horrible because like if you're gonna shoot a deer, you want to shoot it, you want to kill it. The last thing you'd rather miss than like wound one that gets away. And clean kills what you want. So I see it, and it's jacked up, and so it's like on this perfect ledge that like can hold its body, but everything else around it, if it were to like jump 2 or 3 feet, it would like fall and just roll and just roll and just roll off this alpine mountain down just forever. And so she said, if it goes down there, I'm not going down there with you. And I was like, I understand. So I shot it, dropped it, went down there, got to the top, sent it down some snow, and then boned it out. But dude, it's crazy. It's absolutely insane. The whole everything. Like the only reason I got that one back was because it was in the alpine. If you hunt that down in the woods and it's rut, whatever, and who knows where it ends up, and then who knows where the predators are, and but that's one of the realities. That's part of being up here. Like, no hunter goes out there, shoots every buck cleanly, and gets it back, and everything's fine, and it's sad, it sucks, but it's kind of part of the deal. So the main thing is like practicing to the point, like, and that's what I knew. I was like, I gotta practice. I gotta be on. Like, out of respect for the animal, out of respect for everything, I gotta make sure that, hey, my shots are good, the kills are clean. Boom, here we go. And that does not even guarantee it, but that means that like I'm trained up to the
At
point
least you're
where
confident in yourself.
Yeah.
As
And
you were today.
like today, like I did not feel, and you said it was a 4-point. I've only shot 1 4-point in my life, and you said it was 4 on one side and then a 2 on the other. But I was just like, hey, just make this shot, and I did.
Well, as I said, take your time. It's a nice buck, but not huge, but it's what we want.
Yep.
And I saw the hit through the binoculars, but it was still at that range. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Let's go down there and look. And shoot, he didn't make it far, and there was blood right to him. It was a good track. He did a good job.
No, mental is such a big thing. People always, always talk about the physical preparation and just being, there in shape and this, for whatever hunt. But man, mental is such a huge thing to know in your mind that you're going to take that animal. I know just from my experience that in archery hunting, when I'm doubting myself, when I draw back on an animal and it's in my range and I want to take that animal, if I'm doubting myself and thinking I could make this shot, there's been times when the arrow didn't go where I wanted it to, but man, when I draw back and I know for a fact that like I'm literally like so excited in my head because I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is a slam dunk, it's over, more times than not, it was a slam dunk shot, it was great, and that's kind of what happened to me this year on that big buck was that I drew back and it was just, I've killed deer and elk at 60. And it was a little bit further than I wanted to shoot, but at the same time, it was such a big buck that I felt that was my only opportunity to take a shot at that caliber of buck. And I shot and missed, and in my mind, as much as I don't want to say it, I kind of doubted myself before I did it. I kind of, it was just a little bit, I should have been confident in myself. I should have been, I shoot it all year long. For that reason, you owe it to the animal to be proficient with your weapon to be able to take that animal's life as quick as you can. But if people say it's never happened, they're probably lying.
Well, that's a responsible thing, when people talk or watch the shows and this and that, and so like all you're there and you have the stand, and your rifle's not going to move at all. And so like there's no sort of, and it's unfortunate, I guess. Like, we all wish we could like make perfect shots on every deer that we see, but that's part of like the hunter-gatherer thing, and that's part of like our DNA. Like, there was a point where we all had to do this, and we are descended from people who had to do this.
We wouldn't be here without it.
Yeah, exactly. Like if we were not able to do that, then like you said, we would not be here, and that's feeling. I think people mistake the excitement and adrenaline. Oh, it's so awesome! It's great! It's fun! Whatever. I think they mistake that for you love killing. Like, no, like there's something in me, in my DNA, that comes from the people who are the survivors. Like that's that. And if you live in an urban setting, that's an archaic sort of. I don't need this anymore. I'm going to go to the store and I'm going to get organic, grass-fed, whatever. Well, someone had to do that. Like, there were people in charge of that whole thing, and now it's different. Like, if people do it themselves, oh, you're a murderer. No. Like, people get paid to do the slaughtering for you. I do it myself. I do it myself. Like, and it feels good to be able to provide, which I think that's a good segue into the wolf conversation here. People apply the down south logic to wolves because they know wolves as hunted, killed,
or
on the edge of extinction. They were hunted to extinction in a part of the world that's been gridded out by roads and highways and ranches and this and that. But here it's so wild, it's so diverse, it's so crazy that even the Department of Fish and Game admits that in the last 3 years, the population of wolves on this island has tripled, which is why they've increased the quota. But you have a lot of still down south money that's saying, hey, protect the wolves. The wolves are
influence.
They're beautiful.
More than money, it's
and
influence.
they're majestic. They're wonderful, but this is a food source up here. Like, if you were buying food from somewhere that gets it's organic chicken, and it's organic grass-fed chickens. If there was a coyote, or there was something that was getting in there to get those chickens, they're going to be killed, right? Like, there's, without question, there's going to be a fence around that protects those grass-fed, free-range, whatever. They're going to go to the grocery store at Trader Joe's, and any predator that gets in there is going to be killed, but you don't know about it. And here we are in Alaska, like, food source. You have people who are maybe living below the poverty or at the poverty line who rely on deer as a food source. And the down south money is saying, hey, let's make wolves endangered. Let's not let people kill wolves. Wolves are for viewing, not harvesting.
Which severely affects.
There's my rant. As a wolf trapper, Dan, do you want to take over that? And then Jesse too?
Well, I mean, you could say so much about so little, or you could say so little about so much, you know. It's, we've been definitely controlled by what I like to say is the wolf humpers, because they want to protect this dog, wild animal, that literally kills more deer than a whole family will kill in 1 year, each wolf, you know.
Well, there's nothing else for them to eat here. On Prince of Wales, there's nothing else to eat. There's
things. There's otters, there's beavers, there's bears, which everybody likes to protect too, and
the easiest thing,
there's
of course,
deer.
is deer. Like fawns.
They're
and
ungulates. They don't eat meat, so they aren't going to attack. They aren't going to strike back. So yeah, I'd say it's gotten out of control, and it's very obvious due to what I've seen this hunting season, anyhow.
Got a new guest to the circle here. Welcome, Allison. Say hello, Allison.
Hello, everybody.
We're just talking about wolves.
Yeah, and your crazy
yes.
boyfriend does nothing but want
Yeah.
to
Yes.
trap.
Wolf
Yeah.
More wolf talk. Read on.
I could talk about wolves all day, but I don't think most people want to listen.
No.
And I think that's the problem with most people these days is our deer are going away, just like if we put wolves in your pasture, your beef would go away or your chicken would go away. And there's no controlling that when you have a 21-day season to kill, I should say, to harvest 11 wolves. And 11 wolves out of what they say, there's 236 wolves on this island is what
Yeah.
they say. That's not even surrounding islands.
Something like
So
that. Yeah.
And what's the joke about that is this place is how immense this place is, and
It's third largest island
It's-
in the United States. Like how
in the United States,
exactly.
Yeah,
and
there's
the
hardly any
density of
roads.
timber and the canyons and the cliffs and everything involved in it, and
there's no way you could get an accurate
No,
estimate on
no.
the population of
Not at
deer,
all.
bear, or wolves on this island
No,
because
just Google Earth Prince of
yeah,
Wales
it
Island.
shows
Go look
it.
around. Like,
there's no way.
find me some roads and tell me how you're gonna like.
you
let
could leave
anyone
that
know.
thing open for trapping pretty much all entire year, and you would never dent the wolf population that it needs to be dented like that.
At this time.
And
That's
not
exactly
at all.
right.
I mean, and it's been open like that for a long time, and then that's what the crazy thing is that all of a sudden, it's there's no wolves, and this and that, and when anybody that's got two eyes and actually goes out and sets foot in some country and goes out and opens their eyes and listens and goes around, you're going to see what's going on in this country, and it's not that there's no wolves and there's deer running everywhere. It's the exact opposite. And like you said, you had a great season this year, and I had a great season too, but I also, like you said, I beat brush like a savage. I figured out little loopholes around, found different areas where nobody's been hunting at, kind of did some research more than what I normally do. And I love going around and shooting deer out of the car. I mean, I drove around with my girlfriend for a long time this late October, and we shot one buck out of the car, when normally, on an average, I mean, she would fill some tags out of the car. And granted, I don't usually like to hunt that way, but if she wants to fill her tags that way, then I'm
out of the
full
cars
supporter.
and driving and then getting out.
Yeah,
shooting
exactly,
out,
and
shooting out of the
exactly.
car.
And you know, this island, you know, the bucks are running. They chase across the road. You give chase after across the road, blow a call. They usually stop, and I mean, we've had great great luck, and then this year it's just been like. It's been pretty eye opening, yeah, and then obviously to kill a deer and within 10 hours have the entire deer gone. From a pack of wolves. I mean, it is lucky, but at the same time, it also goes on the percentage numbers, and there's a big percentage of wolves on this island now compared to what there was. You're talking a litter creature. You're talking something that can have a litter and repopulate so fast compared to one animal creature.
Well, in 3 years, like even the Forest Service, Department of Fish and Game, like they've agreed that it's tripled in 3 years.
Well,
and most locals have said that like the original count was much lower than what they theorized, but yeah, like if you have a doe that has 2 fawns, like if one survives, cool, all right,
yeah, it's great.
That's great, but if you have a wolf that has 4, 5, 6 pups, dude, yeah, you can totally see that how in 2 or 3 years. And so if the wolf would have been put on the endangered list, it's never getting off, and it's just over. And that's because people are like, oh, in California there's no wolves left. In Idaho or wherever there's no wolves left. There's hardly any wolves left. Or it's different here. You can't apply the same logic. It's crazy.
And they seem to be managed, and there's a place for wolves here, there's a place for bears here, but at the same time, it needs to be managed for what you have going on.
Like anything.
Like anything. It's not just...
I mean, we're managed. Right?
Exactly. Oh, everything, and game populations go up and down, but a severe decline up and down. August this year, I saw a lot of deer when we were scouting in July. I didn't think that the deer population was as what it was. I mean, we were seeing deer. There, it didn't really seem, as me new to the island living here, it didn't seem like anything different. I've always flown to wilderness lakes to where there was deer running around everywhere. And I've always done great, chasing around with a bow or whatever. But living here and seeing the deer populations from early season to this late season, and it was really eye-opening. I mean, I took 6 days vacation, and I beat brush from daylight till dark every day, as my girlfriend will, probably gripe about that every day my vacation was to hunting, but... Every day I kept telling myself in my head that it's going to crack open. Right now, there's going to be bucks everywhere. It's going to be just like it was the year before. And I mean, to anyone out, we beat brush and to come home and then not get anything. And then you start adding up your gas mileage and your excuse is always like, I'm saving money because I'm eating deer meat because I'm not buying that. But when you start... like with me, I mean, my gear is a base price anyway. I mean, you talk about arrows and this and that. The price per pound of venison is already going up regardless from the base point. But then when you add $200 in gas for 2 weeks of driving around and the food and the time away from my family and work, I mean, I've never once took a hunting vacation and thought about, man, I should probably be back at work right now making money because I'm not doing anything. It's useless right now. And I've always had that confidence in my head no matter what. It's going to happen anytime. Tomorrow it could happen. And it usually does. But this time in my head I'm thinking, man, you should probably go back to work. You're not making any money right now, and you're wasting money, and you're not seeing anything, and there's nothing coming to the call. And it's not even that they're not coming to the call or I'm not seeing deer. I'm not seeing sign. I'm not seeing any rubs. I'm not seeing any tracks in it, and that's what was like really eye-opening to me. It was like, whoa, like some of the spots that was ground zero of alder rubs and just rubs on every single alder down there. There's the old rubs, but there's not one single new rub on there, and it's the exact same time. I mean, I'm looking at the calendar every year thinking, it's going to crack off any time.
Well, now
it never happens.
Now we're November 24th, and this is like one day that some old timers will tell you, yeah, we used to hunt back in the day and get them here. Yeah, well, you had a whole lot more deer then. You know why? Because the limit on wolves was 100 per year. Mm-hmm. Did they ever reach that? Hardly ever. No. And they trapped hard. My family's been in it for going on 20 years. Mm-hmm. And I trap with one of the best men around that knows how to get these. They call him the Wolfman, Alaska's Wolfman. Oh, and the dude knows what he's doing. He reads these dogs. and he knows what he loves deer, he loves dogs, he loves bear, he loves everything, but he understands that there's gotta be a way that you manage everything. And that's the truth. Just like you guys do at the hatchery there. It's the same thing, you know. You let the wolves run wild, and that's what happened. 6 years ago, they literally went from 100 wolves to 60 in 2 weeks. And then they went on a quota. And you're supposed to get 100. They said, no, now it's 60. Then, 30 days later, the season's closed down and they're trying to write an endangered species list for this wolf. Well, this is not a different species. It's still a gray wolf. They call it the archipelago wolf because it's on the island. They swim really well, as we all know.
Yeah.
And long
they
story
tried to
short,
go Oregon spotted owl on it. Like,
yeah, exactly what they did. You know,
it's a new thing. Like we saved it there. Let's do the wolf thing.
Yeah, we're gonna keep going on it. Well, they tried saying that they need 90% timber to survive. Well, the island's logged, so good luck on that. Wolf population's great. Then they said they couldn't swim. So they're stuck on these islands. Well, we have how many hundreds of islands that have wolves surrounding us? Yeah. And they don't swim? They have webbed feet past my lab dogs. And she goes right to her nails, you know?
Yeah.
They can swim. We've seen them.
The whole swimming thing was debunked when my buddy, or my old boss, trapped a black wolf on QU
150 miles away
QU
from
Island, and we're on Prince of Wales, we're
Okay.
in Block Prince of Wales, and they trapped this wolf on QU, collared it, and then I want to say 3 months later, maybe 4 months later, in the trapping season. Same year. Oh yeah. This wolf was trapped in Neats Bay on Revilla Island, and if you look at the bodies of water this wolf has crossed after they say that they don't swim, I mean, it just throws...
It's like them telling you they don't eat deer.
It's a joke. It's
they don't eat deer, but then one biologist will tell you they eat 30 to 35 deer a year. Well, if you talk to anybody that spends any time in the woods and seen what they do, they're going to tell you it's closer to 40 to 50. And that's... So let's just go with 35. Let's say each wolf eats 35 deer a year. And we're complaining about catch-can hunters and out-of-town hunters and all this different shit. But the truth of it is, there's 236 wolves estimated on Prince of Wales Island. And each wolf eats close to 35 deer a year. That's close to what, like 13,000 deer a year?
That's a lot of deer.
I mean, that's a ton of deer. And yeah, we're the third largest island in the United States or on the continent or whatever you call it. And they have all these different reasons for why we need to protect them, but they're eating way more deer than we can kill in each year as all of us hunt.
Yeah. If a white guy like me is sneaking around to the muskegs with my bow flinging sticks at deer and able to feed my family with that, let alone a wolf running and actually knowing how to really hunt black-tail deer, and I've seen him hunt and split off and chase deer out of the road before, and wolves waiting on the road for him to chase them out of the timber before. I mean, I watched a little bit of hunting action a couple of years up in Goat Country, and man, it is eye-opening how very good of hunters those things are. And you're telling me they aren't like decimating the deer population. Those things are like, they know what's going on. They definitely are in tune with the country for sure.
I moved here when I was 5, and I'm 36 now. And I've been here every summer since.
Every year, mostly.
Yeah.
Till the last.
Yeah, so like I spent 10 years in California. Other than that, I've been here every year, and this summer was crazy. I saw wolves on the side of the highway. Yeah. I saw wolves on like regular hikes. I'm like, dude, what?
Yeah.
It wasn't just like
on the way up the Alpine.
Yeah, it wasn't just like hearing them off. It was seeing them. So part of me is thinking, okay, well, you got to play devil's advocate, like to some degree, like understand the other person's argument, and figure it out. Okay, well, if there's a lot of deer near the highway, that must mean that there's a lot of wolves around, which means there's a lot of deer around because there's a lot of food, right?
Sure,
But all right, well, why have I not seen more wolves? Like, why do I not have when I was 7, like we used to go trapping. My dad and I used to go trapping. We never heard wolves, saw wolves. When we drive around the island for fishing, whatever, we never saw wolves. And now I'm seeing them on the side of the roads.
everywhere.
Like just And that's where the does drop the fawns, and that's the best place for them to rear them. They're just preying there. Like, why are they? If wolves don't want to be seen by humans, if they're so skittish, why are they spending so much time around the highways?
Or why are people that never see a wolf, seeing wolves? And in multiple numbers. I've seen more Facebook posts, social media posts about these people that never seen a wolf in their life, and they're seeing 5, 9, 8, 10, 11, 13 wolves at one time.
Well,
and they're
so
standing there
neat.
for pictures.
Yeah, it's like, oh, so neat, but well, what does it mean? Like, if the deer population is great and the wolf population is fine, if there's a great balance, why then are all of a sudden wolves closer to town? Like, why can you hear them? Like,
All the time.
why is that like a thing? It's got to be, like you're.
But oh no,
something's different.
oh no,
What's
they're
different?
in danger, don't you know?
People get their feelings in the way when they first, we kind of joke around with some of their buddies, but like the Disney movie mentality, and you grow up thinking it's like the Fox and the Hound. As simple as that. They grow up, and their buddies when they're, and they're the best friends. Well, when they grow up, obviously it's the hound and the fox, and the hound's wanting to hunt the fox, and that's just the way of the world. And they're teaching you, to feel bad for it, and even my daughters. I mean, they grew up here, and and they want to hunt. I mean, they're itching to hunt, but at the same time, they also like question stuff and ask some very good questions about some stuff, just some hunting questions and this and that about why, and and it kind of keeps you on your toes, because you don't really have to explain it, in your head you know why, but when you have to explain it to a 7-year-old girl, and she's legitly asking a question about something, you're like, wow, well, this is why, and they understand. Like I video the bear. My daughter first question, Dad, did you shoot it? First thing, I'm like, well, first of all, I'm like, I love you, even. I'm like, first, but second, no, I didn't. I wish I would have, but
well, Allison, where'd you grow up? And when did you move here? And like, what have you like learned? Because you probably had like preconceived notions of what Alaska is like based on like the stereotypes, and like, oh, wolves are this, or bears are this, or whatever, and now you're here. What have you seen and learned?
I grew up in upstate New York, and I've done a lot of traveling. I ended up here probably about 2.5, almost 3 years ago, and I'd say I didn't really know much about deer-wolf relationship in the woods and all that outdoors kind of stuff, but I've learned a lot by being around Daniel enough, and I'd say even from the first year that I came here in the summertime, it was June 2015, I think, and I remember seeing deer all over the place. I mean, they were all over the roads.
Hundreds.
It was crazy. I was like, oh my gosh, they're everywhere. It's going to be easy to go hunting, even though I'd never done it before. But yeah, and then just in last year didn't seem that bad. This year it's like desperation. There's nothing out there. I mean, I don't see them anywhere. It's so rare.
Except for that one that I shot today. We just want to like make sure that I point that out. That
100 miles later.
Many
so
funny.
Walking and calling.
This is such a great moment for me, because as like a new novice hunter to be able to like, oh yeah, I got that one.
Yeah.
Mostly because
scored.
Dan's the one that drove me out there, and it was like, hey, let's go here. So it's all due to Dan, but yeah.
It's better to be lucky than good, and I always say that, even with fishing, hunting, trapping, everything. I'd rather catch all the wolves than no wolves, and I'd rather be lucky doing it than being known to be good at it.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. They're smart, but it's funny you ask her, and it's funny you ask that question and say that you got a deer today, because I talked to the state trooper here today. Before I came over here, he was at the store, so I said, hey, John Ryan, what, he was getting in his trooper truck. I said, what do you know about the wolf and the deer this year? And he said, I can't find a deer. In fact, he finally shot his first buck this year, yesterday. And he was extremely excited to tell me that, which I thought was very cool. But He also told me, in the past we've had a lot of problems with spotlighters and people that like to stay out late and pick up their deer at night, and it's illegal. As everybody knows, you got a light at night, you could spotlight a deer or whatever, anything, and it stays right there, so makes it easy. Well, he said he's given out more tickets this year for illegal wolf killing due to being on a state road where they shouldn't be, or people seeing wolves where they shouldn't see wolves, and they're shooting them because they're excited about seeing them.
Huh.
And there's too many of them than he has for spotlighting, and that blew my mind. He I won't get into numbers, but it's more than a handful, and those are tickets given for wolves that have been killed by people that have never killed a wolf or seen a wolf in their life. So they made a dumb decision, didn't know the rules, and they knew it was open, but didn't know it was federal land or state land, and they shot it, so they got in trouble. It's a mistake made, but the point I'm getting to is that there's a lot of spotlighters, and he's caught less spotlighters being out for weeks at a time than he has wolf hunters or illegal wolf killing.
That's crazy. Yeah.
That
Again,
blows my mind.
someone who moved here when I was 5 years old, and we went out. We were always out. You don't
live
move,
outdoors here.
You don't move to Klawock, Alaska to hang out inside.
No. If you do that, you might as well go home.
Yeah.
Go back to Ketchikan,
No
right?
point.
Yeah, no. It was from Ordway, Colorado, but how do you? That's crazy. That many people are shooting wolves. It's a cool picture to have, but how's that happening? And I'm not one of those hey, get rid of all the wolves. Wolves are beautiful. They are.
I love them.
They are unbelievable.
If we had a
They're
male
beautiful.
and a female, or two males, if we had two males on this island, I'd be perfectly happy.
Oh man, they're so
it's
beautiful. The
perfect.
majestic, they are apex hunter, other than us, but it's just I can't eat wolf.
Have you ever tried it?
No,
No?
I've never trapped one. I went on one trap, dude. This is crazy with the Wolfman.
Oh yeah. Mr. E.
I spent the 2013-2014 New Year's Eve. I was camping, and it was 30 degrees.
Oh, okay.
It was
nicer
it
weather.
was hot. Yeah.
It was hot then.
And I'm wolf trapping. It's crazy. It's just I don't even know what's going on. We went up to this beach set, and there are 6 traps. 2 are gone. 2 have been dug out, unsprung, and I'm thinking, how can anyone ever get a wolf if they're smart enough to this has been
6 inches of water, 4 inches of mud.
And
Trap's gone.
I saw them set because I was just doing this for an article for a magazine, and I'd seen them set the ones previously and the day before, and individual blades of grass, placing them there on the wolf run. I'm like, is that really necessary? Okay, I guess it is. I mean, you're the man. So there's 4 missing, 2 of which are found that are I'm like, okay, so the wolf was smart enough to dig into the mud
Under the water.
and then pull it out and not even spring it? Are you? No. How can anyone ever get a wolf? And then there was 2 that ended up being trapped on this tree. I was like, dude, this is crazy. The people who are able to do this are crazy. And so I'm thinking, the people who do the wolf estimates, what are they doing to get the estimates? I'm sure they're doing their job. I'm sure that.
Well, Walmart provides really nice office chairs, and they really like to sit there at us.
And I think that they do the boards with the barbed
scratch
wire
boards,
and they. It's not as though I'm in no way trying to say that the Department of Fish and Game or anybody is wrong or jacked up in there, whatever. It's just, how can anybody know? It puts them in a horribly difficult situation to say, hey, how many wolves are here? How do you know? You're going to walk muskegs? You're going to look at those boards? Well, what if they're not there? What if the pack is moved with the food? You know, like it's a terrible situation for them to be in, and seeing how smart wolves are, it's insane. It's
something
absolutely
you
crazy.
can never ever keep up with. I mean, I've had a whole pack come into me howling multiple times, and I'd say out of 10 times I have wolves come in, I might get one or get a sight to be able to see one, you know. And yeah, it's a different game. It's much different than deer hunting, and the fact that it's easier to find a wolf these days than it is a deer. Well, shit, I'll tell you what, we got a problem.
This is something. No, it's the amount of people coming over here not getting any deer after spending day from daylight till dark every single day is
For 7, 8, 9, 10
7
days.
That's exactly, going home with 3, 4
4 or
people in my
5
party and
guys.
not getting any deer. And granted, I mean, the greedy person inside, I'm like thinking, perfect, awesome, no more deer off the island. You know, something that I could shoot. But at the same time, I'm like, that's pretty alarming. Like when you know people are obviously driving, beating brush, driving, putting miles down, not getting any deer. That's like that.
I'll
Pretty
tell you,
eye opening for sure.
I'll tell you what, you say beating brush and driving miles, and I didn't want to talk about the amount of money I've spent on fuel this year, just looking for a deer, you know. But as anybody this year, they all say the same. Now I talked to somebody 3 days ago. He actually stopped me at the gas station to show me a video of wolf tracks on the beach, and it looked like raindrops on a sandy beach. There were so many tracks. It could have been 2 wolves all day for 24 hours on one beach. Well, you know, that might happen, but probably not. It could have been 20 wolves for 15 minutes. However, he spent 800. Well, he went 800 miles, traveled 800 nautical miles on his boat in 9 days. And they saw 6 deer on the beach. Now this is a prime beach hunting time. Deer are moving, they're rutting, they have been. It's known to be the best time to go hit the beaches, you know, get them before they stink. And to see 6 deer and they shot 1 buck between 4 guys he took, that's pretty difficult. 800 miles, you know, I don't know what that boat gets per gallon, but shoot, that's expensive.
Yeah.
And to not see but 6 deer. I felt lucky today, you know, we saw,
Well,
I'm gonna go with,
there's
we saw
unbelievable territory.
a small buck today, first thing. You know, it ran across the road, big deal, whatever. We stopped, we blew a call, didn't come back at it. It had a thick neck, it was snowing, and it's hard to see.
Yeah.
You couldn't see the horns necessarily because we didn't look, all you saw was the white tail and it
Nothing
going.
higher than the ears.
Yeah, nothing big, you know, a spike or a little fork. And we went about our day, we hiked in some muskegs, hiked in some timber stuff, hiked on some roads. We called a couple, 2 or 3 more does out, and it was exciting. It was better than I've done in the past few weeks, that's for sure. You know, and they're thick in the rut now. But to be able to call this buck in today and get a glimpse at him, and man, I know I saw a deer there, but it's desperate times. We saw this deer from over 500 yards away, and we didn't really know. I saw it, and I said I saw it, and you know, Jeff is, yeah, it's a long ways. It's hard to say. It was thick brush, you know.
I had no idea. I was like, huh?
He's like, huh?
Well,
You know?
before you showed up, Jesse was like, yeah, Dan is really good at like finding bucks from like, oh, where is it? Oh, it's on the next mountain.
Seriously.
Like, where? Oh, all right. It's over there. So, yeah.
No, we talked about on the 4-wheeler ride back every time Dan was like, there's a buck, you see him? And I'm like, and in my mind, I'm like, the bow hunter mind, I'm thinking 0 to 100 yards. And I'm thinking, he's looking right at me, it's right here, you know? And then it's like, no, it's on the next mountain, you know? And by the time he's got shots ringing out, I'm thinking like, I don't even know where this buck was at, you know? I'm like,
Did you shoot one?
exactly, I know.
Yeah, I got it.
We stopped today. There was like a little bit of a break in the alders.
Man, that was a good pick.
And I stopped. I was like, hey, slow the... So we backed up a little bit, and I was looking through. I was like, there was a buck. And he's like, what? No. Like, how dare you?
Oh, I'm gonna
Like, see a buck from a long way away. And I was like, dude, you're on the other side of the truck, man. But he was like,
I was, well,
Okay.
no, he's not even
Okay.
telling, no, you're not even telling it right, bro. Honestly, you're discrediting yourself. It was all but a patch that you could see through. I mean, you could not shoot through this patch. There's too many branches. But there was a distant clear cut, and it had a nice muskegee top to it with some open mossy timber, and we drove by it. I'm not gonna lie, I was doing 15 to 20 miles an hour. And he goes, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like he saw something. Just we skid to a stop, sleet and ice and whatever. I back up, I'm like, this guy's freaking crazy, dude. Like, all right, Jeffrey.
I'm gonna entertain him because
so
he is my elder.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh, come on, dude. So I go back, up, and I like almost reach for my binoculars. Well, he grabbed his. Rolled down the window, I'm looking through, you could barely see a little patch. Wait, 300 yards out there. Yeah, there's a deer. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, there's a deer. No, I jump out. I'm behind the truck with my binoculars up before he even knew it. This guy's like, what? No, wait, sure as shit, there's a deer. I don't know how he saw it. The only thing sticking out was his ears and his head, and it was eating some leaves. So we ripped on the call, and here she came.
Oh, it was crazy.
I mean,
crazy.
Fast.
At
It
first,
almost
the
scared
first
me.
time I saw it, I was like, that has to be a buck because there's
Oh,
no
it looked
shooting
like a
angle
buck.
to it, and it's 300 yards away. It's got to be just a massive buck
Yeah.
because we have no way to get to it, no way to call to it, nowhere to, well, we have to call to it, but no way to get to it, no way to shoot it from here.
You couldn't shoot from the road.
It's going to be an awesome buck. It's going to be like a 6x6, just some sort of like, what in the world, like some...
It just seemed that way. It was so difficult and so like happenstance. It was like, whoa, dude, how did you see that? And it was a good experience. It got us pumped. Well, then we motored on down because obviously it's a doe. She came hot, stopped and stared at us, and we sat there for 5 or 10 minutes and then boogied on down the road. Well, came up to another. It's a water bar road, so you got to have the right vehicle, or a four-wheeler. And we get up there a ways. It's snowy, and I've never been there. I lived on this island all my life, but I've never been there. And I don't think Jeff has either.
Oh, no.
But we're both going, whoa. Because the timber is mossy, it's open, there's the blueberry, the thorn, it looks good. Every place we stopped, there was a deer that came out. We're like, this is gonna work. And we see this clear cut back there, and it's there's 3 mountains, and it's in the very back. They kind of make a U, and it's in the very back. And I said, that's where it's gonna be. There's gonna be a buck in that clear cut. And it was kind of a joke, and we kept cruising up the road, and he's looking, I'm looking. We see that one, we think it's a buck, get all excited, keep going. Get to this spot, we get to the clear cut, we're there. All right, we better blow the call. And this clear cut does like an L. So we're on the end of the L, and it goes a short distance and then goes for 500 yards that way. And the road goes all the way up around it, but it looks pretty snowed in. And so we blow the call.
It looked like
a sheet of ice.
yeah, like we're not going to be able to drive up there.
Yeah. So we blow the call right there. And shoot, man, there's just a big old creek going down below us. I'm like, dude, nothing's going to come to this. I blew it once, and this is a drop shot call. I'm not going to lie, these things work.
Hashtag drop shot call.
Hashtag.
At drop shot
Ryan
call.
and Brent.
There you go.
Hit them up.
Yeah.
I'll give you the number.
They definitely.
But I'm not going to lie, I've made my own calls, and they work. Yeah, of course they work. But every time I use this damn call, something comes in. You've been with me twice this year. And it's amazing to blow the call and have something come in. But long story short, we're blowing this call. I'm ripping. Wah, and rip another one because this creek's so loud below us. And there's just a short clear cut. And then it goes over a bench and it goes forever. And I always glass the timber line. So I took my glasses. I pulled them up after the second call. Boom. I go, holy crap. No. I'm talking to myself. I see something, but no. Then it moves and it goes down, comes kind of towards us. I'm like, yeah, there's a deer, dude. There's a deer. Well, why would a deer come from 500 yards away on a squeal? Because I blew that thing harder than I should have.
Well, and when he said that, he said, it went into the brush. I figured
did.
like it was like going away to the brush.
No,
it was like coming tortoise in the brush.
It was
one of those,
definitely,
like,
it was
lost,
a thick
lost.
area.
It's hard to see.
It was hard to tell what it was going to do. It could have been going out, you know, and disappearing, or it could be coming towards us. It just dropped into a trench that was thicker than you could see in, and it was gone. So he goes, well, should we move up? I'm thinking the whole time, we got to run up there, we got to run up there, we got to run up there. And I keep looking, I'm like, screw it, we're driving up there. You know, we're going to take this, we got the four-wheeler or whatever, we're gonna go. So about then he goes, should we go up there? I said, yep. Boom, get in and we go. We get up there. He's like, should we go on this landing? I said, I don't know yet. Let's go a little bit. Yeah, you're right. Let's split up. So we go back. We walk out this little landing. It goes through this alders and out to this old log landing. And we're right in the middle of where we saw him and where we were calling. So I figured, okay, he's going to be below us or over where he was. You know, a glass. There's nothing. I blow the call once. And I glass some more, there's nothing. I'm just hoping to get something turning. And I keep looking, and he's looking to the left, and finally I'm like, man, I should just look back towards where we were. I look back towards, and sure as the heck, man, there's a what I thought was a deer, so I pulled the glasses, and all I see was the rack. Buck, you know, there's a buck. Here we go. And it was about 250. It was a long shot. And
I was like, where? And like, anytime that you're talking about a muskeg, you're like, where is it? Oh, it's that tree that's down to the side.
Green one.
And
The
it's
one on
like,
the green.
it's the green tree.
Yeah.
Like, it's the slanted
It's got a little
sort of
brown
like,
to the left of it.
and I laughed to myself because I'm like, dude, I totally know what you're talking about. Like, you know exactly, but I'm like,
I even paused and said, dude, I don't know.
Yeah,
I know. There's a 45-degree tree right there, and he's facing that way, but he's he's looking at us, dude. He finally turned, and it's just bright orange horns.
Yeah, and that's what I picked up. I was like,
I said, dude, you cannot miss that.
Ooh,
he's
there
looking
it is.
to the
Yeah,
left.
yeah.
Oh, and he just squats down. He gets this perfect rest, lays down. He goes, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. Okay, you know, make the shot.
But he's like, no, get down here. Just drop down in here. Like, there's like a better.
It looked like a teeter-totter rest to me.
Yeah,
So I told him, you know,
okay.
check this out, dude. So
okay.
all that's peeking out now
check
is
this
his head, and he's all laid out. He's, you know, just his head's peeking up, and he's like laid over this log, aiming at this buck, and this buck's quartered away. It's a hard shot, and boom.
No, before, okay, you said boom. Okay, well, this is what I heard as a shooter.
The 4-point thing.
Right, he's like, oh, it's a 4-point. But, and I looked at it, I was like, yeah, dude, that totally looks legit. Like, I'm looking at it like, this is not like unbelievable, psycho, huge buck.
No,
like, this is a nice
4x2.
Yeah.
This is
said.
without a question shooter buck. But so, okay, I'm getting settled down. I have it logged for rest. I'm like, here we go. All right, here we go. And he's like, hey, man, it's just calm down. Just control your breathing. It's fine. It's fine. I'm like, I know.
Well, because I could see him. He was like trying to move.
He's like, well, I'm just like, I'm finding the good rest. You know, I'm gonna make this happen. And he's like, it's fine. You know, it's just relax, control your breathing. But it's a really good buck. Come on, man. Just let me shoot this thing.
Oh my God.
When I shot my only 4-point, my buddy Steve was like,
I wish we could show them a
good buck.
picture here
if you're gonna shoot it.
of what we saw.
And Dan was like, oh yeah. It's good buck. Control your breathing, just relax.
I said slowly squeeze the trigger, just don't worry about it, dude. The first thing he told me is this is the farthest shot that I ever shot. I'm going,
I was like, oh, this is
shit.
far
I told him it was a huge buck. And now he's telling me he's never shot this
I got
far.
this, man. Like, I've got the hashtag vortex scope. No, like, I've got him to the point, I got this. It's fine. And so I'm just like, that's fine. And then, okay, go ahead. And I'll interject if need be.
You reject or correct. I'm just thinking about the experience. I get excited about all bucks. I'm not gonna lie. Why? Because I don't care about the horns.
A slight interjection. Jesse and I were talking about this earlier. Like, the hunting buddy is so important because some hunting buddies are like, dang it, I want to shoot it first. It's like, oh, there's a buck, I shoot it, you know. But like, people who genuinely care about, this is a fun experience. And like me as like the driver, the guide, the whatever, like this is awesome for me to be a part of this, and like this is so cool to be able to do this. And that's like, Dan, again, we've known each other for so long, so it's not it's kind of expected. But
Oh, dude, if it was a
same thing,
4x4,
Jesse, it's just like
if it was a 4x4, you wouldn't even have heard Buck. I would have just boom. It's just
what I just said about a quality hunting buddy who like enjoys you being successful just went out the window. But that's an important thing, and that was cool. Like it was
I gotta ask you, like almost every single time I get on my truck, well, let alone everywhere I go, there's a gun. And almost every single time I get out of my truck, I have a gun. Especially in the wilderness. Why? Because there could be a bear, there could be a deer, there could be a wolf. And it's how I was born and raised. Well, how did it feel for you to know that I didn't have a gun in my hand and we were 40 yards from more like 50 yards out on the landing from my gun, which was on the rig?
Well, we'd done
Were
it
you
before.
confident?
Like we'd popped out twice before.
Well, yeah, but
And
you never know.
it was again, I think that's part of the situation up here. It's like, if we go hunting, when we say like, hey, we're gonna film, I'm gonna do this, or like it's part of the deal. Yeah, it was cool. Like knowing that you didn't have your gun, I was like, dude, this guy is.
For you.
Yeah, and then that's part of the hunting buddy thing. It has to be part of that. And it's like, this is your hunt. I'm gonna do all the work. You get the shot. And
I
that's
didn't. No. I got pictures of the guy that did all the work, and that's you. You know.
well, okay. Like packing it out. Yeah, that's the assumed whatever. Like you provide the opportunity for me to do the hiking out work, but like you did the driving. You came pick me up, drove me there. You did the calling. I'm there. Oh, spot the buck. Rather than like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna keep calling, and then boom, oh yeah, I accidentally shot one. My bad.
I've hunted with guys like that.
Well, I mean, I think we all have.
It's that gritty sort of thing. So like so it's the hunting buddy type thing is important there. Like, hey, we even talked about it before. When I'm with you, Jesse, I was like, hey, dude, this is your deal. Like, you got your bow. Like, whatever, this is you. I'm gonna film some stuff. So
That's what I said. I was like, if it's the big giant crusher buck that I missed, I was like, I want to bow hunt it. But I was like, anything else? And I was like, it's free game for the rifle. I was like, shoot that thing. Cause,
and
that was my only vendetta against the big one. Other than that, let's dump it.
Yeah, and that's not. I'm not sure that's totally common. I think around here it may be a little
It's
bit more
good to
common.
have.
And I just
Somebody
like
that
being
can-
a part of the thing. And me and Daniel learned that with like steelhead fishing. Like,
Oh man.
like one guy gets a steelhead on. Like I fish with people that are steelhead fishing. One guy hooks a steelhead, and the other guy's casting nonstop, trying to hook one at the same time that you're fighting this fish, and you're thinking, do we really need two fish on at the same time? Or you could totally tell it's jealous. And granted, I mean, you always want to steal it on your pole, so you're not really hating on the guy for. But at the same time, like with Daniel and I. He gets steelhead on. I'm busting out my camera. I'm taking photos. Like I quit fishing, then I'm and then I'm fighting. He's immediately pull down,
Chainsaws out.
chainsaw, whatever it can take to land the fish. That's another story in itself right there. That's a whole other story in itself right there. But like that, I mean, like the biggest deer I ever shot in my life. We're driving along the boat, and Daniel's like, dude, there's a deer. And he looks over and I look at my binoculars, and I'm like, it's a doe, I say first thing. And he goes, dude, that's a huge buck. Get your shit together right now. And he's like, I'm dropping you off on the beach. All serious, like, and it's the biggest 5x4 I ever shot. It's the biggest deer I've ever seen.
It's huge.
And at first glance, I was like, oh, it's a doe. And he's like, exactly, get your shit together. I'm dropping you off on the beach.
I'm not. We'll go back to that day. That was a year. That was almost a year ago. That was December 19th of 2016.
Yep.
Jesse and I just hung out for a few months now. We talked on Facebook or whatever, but he moved over. We hung out for a few months, and we had our times that day, for sure. We got our deer. We each got a deer, and it was. So you shot one, I shot one, and it was time, and we were coming back. We were cold. We were wet because the boat got stuck on the beach.
Freezing spray
Freeze
on
and
the
spray.
front, north wind. It was pretty.
And this dude, I looked over. He was huddled up. I was wanting to be where he was. He was behind the windshield. I was behind the windshield, but it was like
I think I
gotta look for a
fleece
log.
blanket.
I'm driving the boat, and he's just like sleeping, looking like, and I'm like, holy crap! There's a buck. All I see is this branch shaking, and this deer below it, and I was like, that thing's got antlers, dude. And I pulled the binoculars up one time. I said, dude, get your stuff, man. This is a big buck. You got to shoot this thing. And there was only one way it was going to happen. We had to go away from it, land on the beach, go back to it, and have it come to us in order for this to work. And it worked, and he made a perfect shot. And it was a big buck. It was cool. But
It was
yeah,
massive.
I remember that.
I saw that
It's a
post. I was
doe.
like, what? What are you
Really,
doing, man?
really big buck, I know. Believe me,
He literally said it's a doe and ducked back down away from the sleet and snow.
No, and
Which
that's
smart
no, that is no joke. I was like, well, it's doe. Like, when we think we canceled that one, now let's go back to harbor now, you know. And he's all, no, it's a big
Then
buck.
I got
Get your shit
serious.
together.
Then honestly, my hands are too cold.
When
to
he
pull my
got
trigger.
serious, I was like, well, he must see something I don't know. I was like, well, then I'll take your word for it and I'll get my stuff ready. He was like, all right, then. We got up closer, and even when we got closer to the beach, I looked at it.
It just looked
and,
like a fork.
Yeah, and it looked like a fork. It's a narrower buck, but he's real tall, obviously, and really deep forks on
ridiculous.
every. I mean, he's a really big buck. But I looked at him and was thinking, oh, it's a fork, and I'm glad I didn't see what he was before. So we talked about it because
didn't
when I
say a word.
shot
I was
him,
like,
when I
shoot.
hopped out and shot that thing, I was pretty calm. I was pretty like. Oh, it's a nice fork and
Got
horn.
down
I
on
mean,
one knee,
it's,
took his
it's
time.
on the beach, you know, it's gonna be done, over with right now. And then when I shot him, he was licking the cedar bough, and in the whole time we watched him, he was messing with the cedar bough the entire time, licking it and raking it and doing everything. I don't know what he was doing with it, but I mean, I'm talking 5 to 10 minutes of messing with that branch the entire time. So when I shot him, when he fell, I saw that he had something more going on with his headgear than what I previously thought. So I come running up to it, you know, and he's kicking on the rocks, you know, and he's dropped it there. I mean, it's a great shot.
Oh,
but
double lung.
I saw his tips. He was, you know, I was looking down at it, and I saw all 4 points digging in the dirt, you know, and I'm just like thinking, what in the world is that thing?
What
you
did
know,
I
like
just do?
what did I just do? Exactly. We talk about what did I just do? Exactly. And you know, it just an eye-opening experience again. You know, I'll never forget that to this day. I even tell the guy that represents Vortex Optics. I mean, I got the top-notch binoculars that I'm looking at through there, and I mean,
It's
they're
a doe.
top-notch, and it's a doe. And I'll never forget that. It's a doe in quotations. Oh, it's a doe, and I remember like stealing the blanket back from Kika, and like was like, oh crap, I'm getting back in here now. You know, like
It was sleeting, snow.
It was bad. It was
15 degrees.
We already had a couple bucks in the boat, you know, so I was
Good.
stoked. That's why I told Dan. I was like, man, if we can go get some meat this weekend, it'd be great. You know, he's like, yeah, it's good weather this weekend. Let's do it Saturday. And sure enough, we met at the harbor. You know, just
And it
didn't
was
really
good
push it.
weather
Yeah, it
until
was
the
great.
afternoon.
Yeah, and then it just really
Yeah.
picked up with the wind, and you know,
But what a buck, my goodness.
yeah.
I mean, I knew it was big, but I did not know. I knew it was a 4-point because I saw the 4 and I saw the 5th point coming up in the middle, and I was like, "Oh, dude, get your
Yeah.
stuff ready." It was
Yeah.
it was like one of those things. I got to drop him off. He's got to shoot this buck. This is how it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Dropped him off, backed away, looked back. He snuck up on it. Deer came towards him a little bit, hit the cedar bough again. Boom, dropped, and it turned, and that's when I knew. I was like, "Oh, that's a big buck."
Yeah, that was a big buck. That was definitely. I don't
And
think I'll-
huge body,
I
you know.
don't think
it's
I'll
just-
see another buck like that tall, the deep forks like that. That was
Swamp
what,
donkey.
The swamp donkey,
Yeah.
real narrow, but just another crazy story about that is that I had it in my freezer for like almost a year, which was
Oh, man.
awesome. Like in my home freezer, which is really cool. Total Alaskan. And my girlfriend finally talks me into taking it out of the freezer to get it done. And usually I kind of notch the skull plate and don't really care about it, but that deer is pretty special to me. It's obviously the biggest deer I shot, and just the story, everything me and Daniel went through to get it. But I want to Euro mount it, so I had it on my porch. I took it out, and it was thawing out on my porch. I was going to soak it, pressure wash it like I usually do, and then boil it. and hydrogen peroxide diet, and then I come out the next morning and the deer's gone. And there's some wet dog prints on my porch, and I kind of was like, well, there goes that deer, and it's a obviously a really good deer. So I was kind of bummed. I had to go to work that morning. I was kind of really bummed out about it, like really bummed. And I took off to work. My girlfriend Ashley and my stepdaughter Raina decided to go on a hunt for it that day, and so there's a house getting built right across the street from my place, and they were searching around the woods, didn't find anything, and then my daughter Raina was like, I'm gonna go ask these construction worker guys all just to ask, and she was like, yeah, go for it, yeah, just go ask him, it can't hurt, and she didn't really think anything would come of it, so she goes over and asks him, and they said, was it a really big buck? And she said, yeah, it was a real big deer. And he goes, yeah, I think I saw a deer or a dog with a deer head in its mouth this morning, right first thing. And he took off that way. And they go, you better check so-and-so's house because his dogs are always running around town, and they do what they want, supposedly. So my girlfriend and stepdaughter go down to close to where the guy's house is at and see someone else out in front of their house and can't find the house, can't find the deer. They ask, hey, do you know so-and-so? Oh yeah, he's right down the road, right there. They come walking down the road, come up in the guy's driveway, and that dog is laying in the driveway with my deer head, sitting there in the gravel.
The deer head.
The deer head. And there's no chew marks on any of it. There's no chew marks on the antlers. There's none on the skull. I mean, when she told me that they got it from a deer or a dog, I was thinking the nose is going to be gnawed off of it.
Yeah.
That there's going to be gnar marks on the antlers. I was thinking, okay, it's gone, And to get that thing back, and it was like a couple blocks away, to get it back that same day with not a mark in the antlers or the skull was just like unbelievable. I'm still just like kind of on cloud nine about it because I figured I lost it. Yeah, it was like I couldn't believe that it made it back to me in the condition that it did. It was pretty cool buck.
Well, that's the weird thing about the whole putting the horns on the wall. It's people think, oh, it's gross. Like you're cutting off part of the skull, putting it on your wall. Like why? Well, it's memory.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's the whole process. It's the paying homage to the animal. Like I did a lot of work, and I went there and I got this animal. I want to remember this animal. People see it as like you are a jerk hunter, like you love killing, whereas no, I want to remember this animal.
Mm-hmm.
I want to remember what I went through to get this animal. I will remember how the animal died, and that I got meat from it, and it's just so different than what people expect. You cut off the top of the skull to put on your wall because you're some sort of whatever. Because you have a complex, no, it's not at all like that. It's the memories, the books I have on my wall, and the buck that's hanging right here in front of us, 3 feet from the microphone. It's it's me and Dan, it's me and Dan, and when he was a little kid, and now we're adults and we're getting our own meat and we're friends and just the sacrifice, he didn't bring out his rifle to shoot this buck and get me meat, and we don't care at all about the people who bring us meat and put it in plastic at the grocery store. But I will remember with the rack that was Dan.
Well, you can look at it now, just like anybody, I've gotten deer with Jesse and I've gotten deer with you. And every time I look at it, I'm like, man, that was a good day. We did something good for that, or we worked hard for it. And
Memory collector. That's
I know we ate the meat.
Kind of
we had the hamburgers, we had the steaks, we had the sausage, the jerky. We ate the meat.
Big thing with me is photography. Is what I mean.
Pictures
I
last
love mounts. I mean, I love mounts, and I have a couple. But my big thing is photography and memory. That what you thought about in your head, and it even comes back to as detailed as what you smelled when you saw that buck, or whatever you're hunting, the smells, the feeling,
everything,
how cold you were, if you were cold or hot, all the different things. And It's weird because I've given, I mean, it sounds crazy, but I've given away some deer heads and some bear skulls and bear hides and stuff, because people wanted them, and it's totally fine with me because I have video or pictures of that deer, and obviously it fed my family. But at the same time, someone else wants something like that, I mean, I have no problem giving it away to them.
No, yeah, for sure. I hunt for proxy tags. You know, I always have. This is one year I haven't due to the decline in the population of deer, but I'm still taking the people out that can hunt to get their deer, and I've been involved with people that know how to get deer and they want to go with me. And like today, Jeff knows how to get a deer, you know, and to have him with me and be able to find a deer together and shoot it and watch him pack it literally hundreds of yards.
Well, yeah.
Straight uphill.
You know, it was funny. That was like a 25-minute little side note there. But when we saw the deer and shot it,
Yeah.
boom, there you go down there. Like boning it out. We could bone it out, but like no, I'm gonna pack it out.
No, I thought that was cool. You know, we could have boned it out. We could have taken all the meat off the bones. We could have done that, but the fact that you turned to me and you said, "Dude, you know what? We worked hard for this deer, and I think the animal deserves the respect to become, you know, coming with us, take it out of the woods." And he said, "How do you make a backpack?" And I showed him
Yeah,
how
I never
to make
did.
a backpack.
I've seen it. Like a lot of people post the picture of the backpack. I've never done it. I kind of understood the principle of how you make one, but I've never done that. That was kind of cool. But like going up, like that was a pretty
steep,
treacherous.
treacherous.
Yeah, I've been in worse muskegs, but like clear cuts, but that sucked. It was not fun at all.
The muskeg was fine. When we got to the clear cut, that was the shortest. The shortest distance to the road was through the muskeg, up to the clear cut, to the road. Now we didn't realize that there was going to be a log that he'd have to climb over, climb under with this buck on his back every 5 freaking feet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you right now, you're like 48.
What?
Oh, 35.
Come on, man! Like,
okay, sorry.
what are you doing, man?
I'm sorry.
Jacked
dude.
up.
Well, when you were picking it up,
I think he meant that as hyperbole. Hyperbole.
Okay, so
43.
let's put it this way. I had a little backpack and I had a gun. You know, it weighed about like maybe 6.5 pounds. I was a little wet. It took me a minute to get up that clear cut, but to look up and see Jeffrey with this deer on his back, you know, like a good 20, 30 yards ahead of me the whole time. I was feeling a little out of shape. But
I think that's part of the.
I don't know if it was adrenaline. Well, you were huffing up.
I was moving. Well,
I mean, there was a log and you
part of
matrixed over it.
When you get you're a high school athlete, like you play high school basketball, high school football, whatever, right? And then when you become in the 20s, like, well, go. I'm not a athlete anymore, but I don't want to be out of shape. And so, like, what is my main mission when it comes to being athletic or in shape? And like, that's been the thing. My idea is like, hey, okay, I don't want to be up on a mountain looking for meat and not be able to get to that mountain. I don't want to be like, oh no, I'm not physically fit enough to be able to hike this mountain or to go from this ridge to that ridge or to, if we do shoot a buck, to be able to hike out with it. And so that's the new thing. You know, when you're 13, it's like, I want to make the varsity team or I want to make the JV team. You know, 17, 18, whatever it is. And that's kind of life. And it all ends with these coaches telling you what the limits are. And as an adult, you have to make those limits yourself.
Well, you've been a coach yourself. You're pretty good at that.
And so it's like, well, you know, there's also coaches who are like, oh, well, you know, this is what you have to do. What I have to do is something totally different. And so I was like, you know, I want to be in shape. I want to be able to go up any mountain I want to. I don't want to be limited. And so, put on the backpack, and it was awesome because I work out You know, I do a lot of
I
stuff.
work out.
You know, no, it's not like some sort of like, oh yeah,
No, we
I'm buff
understand.
or whatever, but just like, you know, like just going in the weight room after school and just doing, you know, single leg lunges or doing something like just be in shape. I feel good, you know, to feel good during the week, feel in shape, and so when it comes time to I shot deer, it's my deer, it's my responsibility. Dan's gonna make a backpack out of it because I've never done it before. And yeah, I'm gonna hike out with it. And so I put it on, and yeah, I got this.
And I totally get that because, you know, like 2 weeks ago here when I was quote unquote finished deer hunting until you texted me and were like, dude, I'm in town.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
on the
kill a
island.
buck.
Yeah,
I was like, all right, I'll get back into it. But I was packing the deer out I made a backpack out of it, pack a deer out. It was no problem. However, today I didn't shoot the deer. One, I didn't have the horns because that's always exciting, you know. Two, and I didn't have the adrenaline behind it like you did. And I looked up and shoot, all he goes, you mind grabbing that backpack? Obviously not. You know, he's packing this deer out as a backpack. I reached down and grabbed it, and I cleaned up the knife, and I cleaned up my gloves, and I put them away. And, you know, he had maybe a 3-minute head start. I look up, and I can't see this guy. I'm like, what the frick, dude? Where'd he go? I get up there about 150 yards, and there he is. He's going up another 50 yards ahead of me. I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, dude, is that deer like styrofoam? No. He's like, can you get a picture?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get a picture. Well, dude, 15 minutes later, we're at the truck, you know, and for a 36-year-old man, I was impressed.
Oh no! For a 36-year-old man, it's like for a guy who's like
dang.
2 years from
40.
ARP. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
if you live mentally tough,
You have to like that's the thing. You know, you if you're gonna go hunt, you know, it's hard to. I'm gonna hunt, but I can't deal with what I catch. You know, it's
You got to be able to do it.
pay respect to the animal. By
it's
being
not
able
easy,
to,
that's
like,
for sure. I mean, I could go shoot a cow in the head right on the grass field in the fenced area,
Yeah.
and I could back my truck up and put it in the truck and take it to the butcher for $150 or whatever and get it cut up. But I could also shoot a deer 400 yards down a clear cut and go pack it out all day
Yeah.
and be just as happy.
Yeah. Well, let's close this here podcast up. It's the end of the blacktail season. You know,
Wolf season.
tagged out. It's beginning to wolf season here. Like, what are the closing thoughts? As Dan is standing above me, looking at the deer. If I were to go, I don't know.
No ounce of fat on this
No,
boat.
no, I don't- zero.
I mean,
zero
there's
fat.
zero fat.
This
No,
thing has been running around.
But he's thick.
Yeah,
He's
he's
strong.
strong.
Yeah.
I was just looking at the
Yeah.
tenderloins. Those things are huge.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Definitely big.
We know it's done.
Yeah.
It's time to switch over, and
The
like
best thing
anything
is
on
it's
Prince
cold
Wales,
and
there's a
dry.
new season every
Cold and
few
dry,
months.
ready to do it. I think I'll let you guys take a backstrap and we'll film that as you guys leave there. But yeah. Allison, you've been here. Like we said, hey, Allison, get involved with this, and then we cut you off about an hour ago. What do you got as you didn't grow up here, and here's the deal. What do you got?
Well, so I said I've been here for like 2.5 years. I've gotten 2 deer in the whole time I've lived here. And on the first hunting trip Daniel and I took together, I remember he picked me up. I was working over at Fireweed at the time. He picked me up. It was like 1 o'clock. I just got done with the morning shift. I got up at like 4 a.m. I've been working for like 6 hours at this point, and he picks me up and he's just like, we're gonna go hunting, and I'm like, I don't, what do I wear? Like, I've been living in California for 8 years. I have no idea what goes on. I don't have boots. I did buy a pair of boots because I thought, you know what, I'm gonna buy a pair of extra toughs for the summer just for the heck of it because I want to act like an Alaskan for a little while. And so I bought a pair of extra toughs in the beginning of the summer, and this was August when we went hunting, and picks me up, and we go out. It's like 1 in the afternoon, and he drives out somewhere. I don't even know where we're going because I don't know the island that well at the time, but we're out in like Heidelberg or something. He picks up a 4-wheeler, and we take this 4-wheeler from some random person's house that I don't know, and then we ride down this road on the 4-wheeler, and then we're riding literally for like 45 minutes on the 4-wheeler, and I've been on a 4-wheeler maybe once in my life before that, and he's like, just hang on tight, and there's like cubs running in front of us. It's like, I'm like, what is going on?
Nice.
Okay, just keep your cool, Allison. Act like everything is cool. Like, you're all right, you know?
Yeah.
And we're riding down this road, and we're going through water bars and this thing, and I'm like, are you sure that you can bring this 4-wheeler up this thing? And nope, sure enough, up boulders, anything, you know, whatever. And I'm trying to just keep up with him. And I don't know, I think I was 28, 29 or something. And yeah, so we're like riding along, and eventually he parks the thing, and we start walking down this road, and he spots something eventually. And I mean, it was a while. We had gone like quite a ways. We hiked for a while, and then finally he spots something, and we're like on the top of a mountain at this point. And he spots something, and I'm like, I don't see it. I mean, just, you know, the same thing. Daniel spots things, and I don't see anything that he sees.
That's him.
I can't find it.
Yeah.
I really can't, and I feel like I'm blind. Like,
Yeah.
I have good eyesight, but when it comes to him, he can see anything. He's like, look for movement. I don't see anything moving.
Yeah.
So, anyways, he spots it, and it's probably like 500 yards away at that point. And he's like, we're going to walk a little bit further down, get somewhere that's stable, good for you to set the gun down and shoot. Previous to this, just to backtrack a bit, we stop. I really hadn't had much experience shooting a gun. And he's like, we're just going to maybe have you shoot this gun a little bit so you feel kind of comfortable before we go shoot a deer in like 10 minutes, you know? So we stop, and he has me shoot the gun a little bit, and he sets up a couple targets, and I'm shooting, and he comes back. He goes to look at the target, comes back. He's like, you're ready to go. Let's go. And apparently I had done really well hitting the target. Anyways, so we see the deer. We get down. We get to a good spot. It's like 350 yards away. And I'm like, I don't think I'm going to shoot this thing, but I'm going to try my hardest.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I got a really good shot on it. And he's like, just aim for that little like white patch right there, right? You know, underneath its on its neck area. And I shoot the first time, and I just barely miss and like hit a stump, and I'm like, oh my god, where'd it go? Is it still there? And he's like, it's still there. Calm down. Be quiet. That's my hardest thing, is to be quiet, because I'm always talking. And he's like, no, like, it's still there. Just calm down. Breathe and slowly squeeze the trigger. Just relax and slowly squeeze the trigger. And I'm sitting there, and I like slowly squeeze it, and I hit the deer, and it like kicks its back legs up and fall. It was the most exciting moment, I swear, of my life. I cannot explain it to. I mean, it's hard to explain it to anybody.
Yeah.
I've had to, and the thing is, you know, coming from California, nobody really understands.
Right.
Like when posting on Facebook, whatever you do, you tell them that you shot a deer. They're like, why would you shoot a deer? I'm like, I don't think you understand.
Yeah.
Like, the idea of like going out, like you guys have been talking about, going out and getting your own deer, getting your own meat, the hard work that you go through. I have never hiked through a clear cut in my life, and Daniel's 6'7", and I'm 5'4", and let me tell you, I mean, when he steps over logs, it's stepping over a little patch of grass.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm like hugging the log. I'm trying to figure out how to not fall into a hole that I don't even know how far it goes down. And it's just, it was seriously just so exciting. And trying to explain it to people and letting them know, like, you know, do you even know where the meat comes from that you buy in your grocery stores? Because I know the meat in my freezer, like you're saying, there's a story behind everything, and we date everything that's in our freezer. So I'm like, well, that's the deer that we got then, and that's the deer we got then, and it's just like, it's cool. I mean, it's great to know. I mean, you're really living sustainably too.
Yeah.
I mean, and people say that they want to live sustainably so much and be all of that in California, but they really they don't actually know where a lot of the stuff is coming from that they're buying in the grocery stores.
Saying it and doing it are two different things.
Yeah, it's a great idea when it comes down to, like you said, doing it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like they want to believe that, I want to do that, but no, you don't. No,
But
it's different. So that's awesome.
Definitely.
That's good.
Yeah. It's an exciting adventure for sure.
Yeah.
It's rewarding and it's hard work.
Yeah. It used to be the way, and then now it's Safeway. Go there. It's like all wrapped. It's ready for you. Like, good to go. All I have to do is like go down there and talk to people and give them some money rather than like do it myself. And I don't know. Maybe it's kind of weird that I like to do it myself and like find my own deer and find my own meat. But like that's part of my DNA. Like I'm descended from people who used to have to do that. That used to be the way. You had to. If you did not do that, you would not eat.
Yep.
And we're a lot closer to that than I think people realize. And there we go. Got deer hanging right here. Looking at it. Here it is.
Nice buck.
So we'll call that episode 10. The Mediocre Alaskan podcast from Garage with a hanging deer and some friends. Make sure you go to themediocrealaskan.com. Make sure you check out on Facebook Allison Fargo on Facebook if you like to. Daniel Peters on Facebook. Jesse Knock on Facebook and Jeff Lund on Facebook. And you can see what the real life in Alaska on Prince of Wales Island is like.